Hello everyone and welcome to this new video. I'm Ombra and today we're gonna walk through all the skill change we got in this new PvE. Skill of the commander are the most important things in my opinion inside this game, and I just finally choose to modify that a bit for try to balance the game. Of course I'm happy because this is a try in the right direction, so you want to balance the game and make more option. Of course it's not enough, we are far from balance and we are far from have a game where you can play a lot of commander and not always the same four. So in this video I'm gonna check one by one all the commander and I'm gonna mention all the skill that have a change, and I'm gonna tell you if the change is relevant for the commander or not. Following the alphabetic order, the first commander is Adun. On Adun we have two skill changes. Spell Seeker receive a buff in terms of damage, now deal 240% focus damage instead 200%. That is relevant of course because it's a 20% buff in terms of damage, but that is not enough of course for bring Adun to a spot where it deals for real the damage. Then we have the skill Betrayer that increase the damage of the troop, not anymore the attack. That is a big change because a lot of skill now give damage and not attack, and we know the damage is a lot stronger than attack. And that scale with the command, so it's not a 10% but it's more like 15% in an average command build, and if you reach insane number of command like 600, 700 you can go to 24% damage. I don't think it's enough because I test the troop composition and still the meta comp destroy the troop composition. You don't gonna win, but at least now you can deal some damage with the troop. Azog didn't receive any change on the skill. The only good things for them and for all the commander that have multiple skill very good, more than 3, is that now you have more skill point to assign on a skill, so you're gonna have more skill available. That of course increase the power of this commander. Now talking about Aragorn II, we have two skill that receiving a scaling. Dunedain Chieftain receives scaling in base of commander defense stat. It's a decent scaling but in the wrong statistic because commander defense is almost useless. The second skill is Hidden Air that increase the attack of man's unit in 3 allied formation by 10, and at scale with the command you can reach 22 of attack. This skill is absolutely a waste, even with the scaling is completely useless because it's too less for be relevant. The next commander we're talking about is Aragorn, King of the Men. In this commander we have just one skill change, King of Men, that now give damage dealt by 3 allied formation plus 15%. That's a lot better than plus 15 of attack, and also this damage can scale with command, so it's a big boost for this skill. With a good amount of command you can reach 23% of damage boost for your troop, and for 3 allied formation that is very good in my opinion. But I don't know, cause this skill don't synergize very well with the first two skill of this command, so in general you want them as damage dealer, not as buffer, so you don't gonna run a lot of command. That is the only point that is not synergic. Now we talk about Arwen. On them we have two skill that have received a change. The first is Half Elven that now scale with the command statistics, so if you build that with a lot of command you can reach 40 points of unit attack and unit defense for the Arwen formation. In my opinion it's still irrelevant because Arwen is a bad commander, so I have 10 points more of unit defense and unit attack is not relevant. The second skill is Queen of United Kingdom that now also scale with command. The scaling is very strong because bring the possible defense from 40 to 96 if you have 700 of command. Of course 96 of defense is relevant. The problem of this skill is just is for 5 hit only, so it's just a bad version of the skill of Isildur in a commander that is already worse than Isildur. There's no way for play Arwen. On Azure Core we have two minor change on two different skill. The first, on a skill rider we got damage stat plus 5% for your unit instead plus 5 of attack. That is of course better because 5% of damage is always better, and we have the same on Umbar Pirate, damage stat plus 5% instead of plus 5 of attack, so overall plus 10% of damage for the unit lead by this commander. Now talking about Balin, we have Warrior of the Lonely Mountain that received the scaling with command. Attack and defense of 3 allied formation increased by 7 plus the command, that means about 14. It's useless, completely useless. The next commander we're gonna talking about is Bard that have received one change of King of Dale. They don't write PBE on this skill, but the skill is changed because now the skill have a scale with the command stat. The scale is decent cause bring the attack value to 58 if you are really whaled in terms of command, but on Bard, where you have 3 skill for damage dealing and also scaling with the attack, you absolutely don't want to bring command. So it's a skill that have no sense of exist. Why you place a scale with command in a commander that don't bring any command on the field? On Beorn we have 0 change, so no one skill get touch. It's still one of the best 2 commander for dealing damage on the meta. And now it's even stronger because you can max the 3 skill of damage of Beorn at respect 10 instead of bring that to zenith 6. On Berutiel we have 2 skill that have received change. The first one is Watcher, defense of men and devilman unit in 4 allied formation increased by 12 and now scale with command. But that don't synergize so good with the other scale they place. They place focus scale of Queen of Atred for increase the damage received by 2 enemy formation. It is a good skill, so similar to the Deceiver of Sauron and have similar scalings. Overall the change is okay for Berutiel, but it's not enough for consider them a commander that you want to play on your formation. Now talking about the Black Serpent, here we have 3 skill change with multiple change for each skill. Horn of Arad receive a scaling with the command that bring the attack to 86 if you have a lot of command, so it's double the effectiveness of the skill, and also if you run Evilman you have plus 10% damage stat for that unit. Then we have Aradrim skill that also scale with the command. You can have about 30 of defense if you really whale on command, and also the attack stat from the sub trait is now plus 5. Talking about Lord of Mumakil, now the attack and the defense of large units scale with the command also. The scale is not insane, but it's something that can give a bit of improve, and also damage dealt by Mumakil into the commander's formation to allied unit decrease to 10%, not by 10% but to 10%, so 90% damage reduction. That make the Mumakil a lot more usable for this formation. Then talking about Boromir, we have 3 skill with a change. On High Warden now we have damage stat plus 10% for the unit, that is a big buff if you wanna run that as a troop buffer. On the Horn of Gondor now the attack scale with the command. That is not a big scale because a 700 of command is only 32 of attack. Also the skill Air now scale with the command. Another signal that say you Boromir have to be playing with the command. The Commander Caliber receive only 1 change on the skill The Wise. Now the skill gives a unit damage stat plus 5% 2 times, so it's plus 10% for the unit. I mean, it's not a bad buff, 10% damage stat, but it's not relevant. This commander is bad. On Sestaro we have the Spellseeker skill that we already mentioned on Adun, plus 40% of focus damage, but on Sestaro it's relevant because it's already a strong damage dealer. So this buff of course can help them to reach one of the top position of the Evil faction damage dealer. Now talking about Círdan, we have 2 skills that have received change. The first is Teleri that now have scale with the command and is a strong scale because can bring the attack of elf unit to 60% now with the command, and that is a buff for 3 elves and for all the battle. The other change is in the skill The Shipwright that now give plus 5% damage stat to the unit. On Dain we have a change, but we didn't have any relevant change because the only skill that have a change is Lord of the Iron Hills that have increased the effectiveness with the command now, but no one gonna build command on Dain. And also first 3 skill you want are the damage dealer skill because he's a damage dealer. As for Beorn, is still one of the top 2 damage dealer of the game. On Denethor we have 2 skills that have received a change. The first one is Ally. Previously the skill say when medium unit in 3 allied formation deals physical damage, and now say launch normal attack, so maybe it's just for don't proc a skill with another skill. Is not a relevant change because this skill is trash anyway. Then of course Mad Steward that have received the scaling with the command. This skill now can increase the attack of 2 allied formation by 58. The number is relevant but it's only on 2 formation, and the other problem is that Denethor is just bad. The next commander is Dwalin that have received a change on the adventurer skill, now have scaling with the command. So considering the scaling we can think to have a Dwalin that gives plus 70 of attack, and absolutely you don't want build command on Dwalin, that is the big problem. Dwalin can be a good commander if you build Durin's Blood and Experienced Warrior as damage dealer, but not with command. On Eladan we have Half Elven, a skill that we already talked on Arwen, is not really good because the scale is bad and also the commander in general is bad. On Elrond instead we have 3 skills that receive a change. One is War Chant, a buff for 3 allied formation that increase the attack by 30, now scale with the command. The scaling is also good because can reach 70 of attack. Then we have Half Elven, again we already talked about that, the scaling with with the command is not so good, but it's something. And then we have Loyal Follower that also scale with the command, so increase even more the attack of the commander formation. In my opinion, if you put together Loyal Follower, Half Elven and War Chant, you have a commander that can fit very well on a troop damage composition and can deal a lot of damage with troops. The only problem, as always, is just the meta is too strong versus troop damage, because I have a lot of damage mitigation early game, evasion, so the potential of the commander is very good, but is countered by the meta. Herald only get effect by the Half Elven chain, so scaling with the command that for Herald is good because you won't bring command with Herald, but still have plus 10 of attack and plus 10 of defense for your unit is not so relevant. On Eomer we have only a mechanical change on Herald Leader, now work with launch normal attack and not with deal damage. On Eowyn we had the Shield Maiden and now scale with the command, so the amount of defense can be relevant now, so it's a good buff for them. The only problem is just the 2 skill of Eowyn are completely useless. Talking about Falcon, we have 2 hidden change. On Ered Luid, now the defense is not plus 7 but plus 10 for each stack, that increase a bit the defense of the troop and the commander, but the main change is on Train's Guard that now don't scale anymore with the commander defense but the commander command. That gives you the possibility to focus all on increased command and troop defense and don't think anymore at the commander defense. So Falcon overall now it's a lot stronger than before. On Faramir we have 2 principal change. We already talked about Air on Boromir that increase a bit more the defense, so it's a skill for a tank. Then we have the change on Guide that increase the attack of the troop in 3 formation, so it's a skill for a buffer in offensive way. The problem of Faramir is try to do everything but do for real nothing. Next we're gonna talk about Frodo and Sam that receive nerf. The skill Hobbit Adventurer now give attack instead of defense, and that is very bad for a commander that want to be a tank. So you don't care about this scaling with the command if that gives attack instead of defense, is a nerf. Then on Ringbearers, of course damage stat is good, but not for a commander that want to be a tank. You don't care about that. Previously you got defense from this trait and now you have damage for a tank. That is bad. Galadriel is still Galadriel, no one skill get changed. Also Gandalf the Grey didn't receive any modify on the skill, and that is crazy because White Council is one of the most strong skill of the game and don't get nerf. Also Gandalf the White didn't receive any change with White Council and White Rider that dominate the meta. Then we have Gil-galad that received 2 change. The first one is Alliance Leader that now scale with the command instead of attack. The amount of damage dealt you can reach with this scaling is inferior than before, but overall in my opinion it's better because you don't need to bring attack. You can full focus on bring command and troop defense, you can be super tank and at the same time this damage. Then the High King skill that now increase for the first 5 round attack and defense of the elf on 4 allied formation when we had max death, and that also increased by the command. In general, even if people think that Gil-galad received nerf during this PvE, in my opinion Gil-galad now is stronger, a lot stronger, because now you have more skill points, so Gil-galad benefit a lot from that. Also the evasion of Gil-galad is even stronger because can stop the troop composition to this damage in the early game, and the change of the scale of Alliance Leader make them in a sweet position where you can just build command and troop defense and be invincible. On Gimli we didn't have any change on the skill. Now talking about Glasha, we have 3 skills that are affected by the change during the PvE. Kurvan and Fang don't scale anymore with initiative but with the command, that is a big improvement because now the attack reduction can reach 50. We have also Messenger that have removed the scaling with focus, now don't scale with nothing, that is a nerf of course. And you have the skill White Hand that now scale with the command, so you're gonna have more attack and defense for your small unit in the commander formation. On Gorbag we have 2 skills that receive change. The first is Grey Leader that now scale with the command, so increase even more the defense of the orcs in 3 formation, and now at level 10 have damage stat of the orc plus 10%. Of course this is a great buff because 10% of damage is relevant. And then on the Watchman of Kiritungol we have also the scaling with the command that increase even more the attack of the skill. Now talking about Gothmog, we have 3 skills that receive change. The first one is Second in Command that now scale with the command stat, so now give overall more attack and also add the damage stat plus 5% for your unit. Then we have Overlord that now scale with the command can reach 45 to 50% of increasing in terms of damage boost, and then Morgul Lieutenant, the biggest buff for this commander, that's now give 15% damage dealt, and that's modified by the command. So with a good command set you can have more than 20% damage boost for your entire army. The entire kit made Gothmog at least in the top 3 of the commander for buffing the troop for deal DPS. On Grima the only change is the second in command, we already talked about that on Gothmog, now scale with the command and also increase the damage stat. On Grisnak the only change is on Warlord that now scale with the command, an increase in terms of attack given to the troop but is not enough to consider them usable. On Aldir we have 2 change on the skill Galadrim, now the skill give attack for ranged, not anymore defense, and also scale with the command that increase the effectiveness as a troop damage dealer. On Aragorn we didn't have any change. On Imrahil we have 2 skills that we already cover, we have Ally and Air, but also we have Prince of Dol Amroth that increase the attack of 2 allied formation mounted unit and now scale with the command. So a bit more of attack here, but overall the change are not relevant because Imrahil is still bad. Now talking about Isildur, here we have an insane amount of boost. Ringbearer we already cover on Frodo and Sam, gain the damage stat plus 5% that are useful on Isildur if you want do troop damage dealer. On King of Dunedain we have a total of plus 10% on damage stat now, and now Last Alliance also scale with the command and bring the total of defense to more than 110. I see Isildur with 800 of command because can reach this amount with 110 of unit defense for all your formation. That of course scale each hit you receive, but is a lot of unit defense. Opinion now Isildur is one of the best support of the game, not the best overall, but one of the best, like in top 5. Khaldun that receive a scale on Marshal of the Ismark, a skill that reduce the damage taken by the formation affected by that by 10%, now scale with the command, is not enough to justify to play them. On Camul we have second in command that have the same change, now scale with the command and also give damage stat plus 5%, and then Black Eastering that now scale with focus, a good statistic because you want to build them full focus for the R0 and the R2, so this change is decent but is not what the Camul need. Camul need another damage skill for be relevant. King of Death with the skill The Betrayer, we already covered that on Adun, that skill now give 10% damage dealt instead of attack and also scale with the command. It's a very good buff but is not enough for consider them playable. Kiron receive modify on Master of War Chariot, now the skill gives unit damage plus 10% instead of 5 of attack, that is an insane buff, and also if you use War Chariot you're gonna have plus 5% more of damage. I don't think it's enough for carry, but for sure it's gonna have a place on a troop composition. Lotr received 2 buffs that I didn't expect. We have Pallbearer that now scale with the command and also increase the damage stat of the mounted unit by 10%. We have also damage received by medium unit of the commander's formation minus 10%. This skill is very solid if you play Cavs. And then on Master of the Fallen again we have 2 allied formation unit plus 35% damage dealt, and that effect by command. So the scaling is even more. Also if you run mounted unit you have plus 10% of damage, so the only problem with that is we don't have a third skill for command because these 2 skills are very good. Talking about Legolas, now we have a scaling on the dwarf friends, now scale with the command. That is pretty useless in my opinion because we have 2 skills for damage dealing and also the relic for damage dealing, so we don't gonna carry command. We have a similar situation on Lurtz where we got scaling with the command on the Respect 0 Uruk-hai Elite, that of course increase the attack of the commander, but effect modified by the command, what command you gonna have on Lurtz? 0. And also we already mentioned the White Hand change that now scale with the command, increase the attack and defense of small unit, that we don't care on Lurtz about that. On Maltok we have 0 change. On Merry and Pippin 2 skill that we already cover, War Chant that now scale with the command, and also Hobbit Adventure that now give attack instead of defense and also scale with the command. Talking about the Mouth of Sauron, our Bringer of Darkness scale with the command stat, and that is pretty legit. We have Messenger that now don't don't scale with nothing. We have Lieutenant of Banadur that now scale with the command and also give damage stat plus 5%. Of course, all these changes don't make them usable, it's still bad. On Oglur we have 2 skills that receive a big buff. Mountain Ox Leader now increase the damage dealt by the troops in the formation of the commander by 20% and also is modified by the command. In addition, also the skill Troll Master now scale with the command can gives about 80 of unit defense. Considering that the people play them as hybrid damage dealer, you can think to run Axe Overlord, Grounds Commander and Troll Master for be a good damage dealer and also a good tank. On Ori we get 0 change. On Kurvan we have the 3 Catastrophe skill that changes scaling from attack to the command and that is a good change overall. And we have also Lord of Calamity that now scale with the command. But the change are almost irrelevant cause overall the kit is terrible. Radagast the Brown receive 1 change on the Beard Tamer, now the skill have the scaling on the command. It's not a scaling that affect a lot this commander but it's something. Saruman finally got a decent level 10 trait on Cherkai, now increase the damage dealt of the formation affected by this skill by 5% instead of deals more damage versus Hobbit. Talking about Sauron, we have 2 big change on them. The first one is the Deceiver don't affect anymore in pre-battle phase with Madness the enemy eaten by the Deceiver. That means Sauron cannot steal anymore the White Council, the White Rider and all the buff in a pre-battle phase, and that of course is a nerf for them, a very big nerf. The other change is on the enemy, now scale with focus can increase to 24% stats reduction on the enemy commanders. That of course is relevant because it's a big reduction, and also the Deceiver scale with focus, so you can think to run Sauron with focus. Shagrat have the skill Watchman of Kiritungol, we already covered this change, the scaling with the command increase a bit the attack of the orcs but is not overall really important. Then we have Sharku with 0 change. Kalel that have a change completely useless even if the trait is good. On the Lord of the Wolves, a skill that no one gonna unlock at level 10, gonna receive 10% damage stat on the formation unit. Okay, it's a good buff but no one care about that because you have 3 skill that you want first and that, and you cannot max 4 skill. On Sanid we have a lot of major change. On Aradric Tactics we have now the skill that scale with the command, and also for each type of Evilman formation unit in your army, damage dealt by the orcs plus 10%. In the Dargolan Tactics we also gain the scale on the command, and for each type of orcs on the formation unit army, damage dealt by Evilman plus 10%. And then Panther's Leader that now work with orcs, Evilmen and beast, and not only beast, but deals only 80% instead of 100% of poison damage. Overall for me is a buff, cause you can choose to use other troops different than beast. On the Shadow we have 0 change, no one skill get touch. On the Undying we got an irrelevant buff on Undead Commander, we increase the number of hits tanked by the evasion by 1, so we can tank 5 hits now with the evasion. For be relevant, the number of hits have to be at least 12 for compared to the Gil-galad evasion, for example 5 is still useless. On Theoden we have 4 skill out of 4 with a change. The first one and the most important is the Renewed that now gives damage dealt instead of damage reduction, so now Theoden is focused on damage dealing and not on tanking. Then we have the Rohirrim skill that increase the damage stat of the unit formation by 10%. We have the Horseman Master that now scale with the command and increase more the attack of the mounted unit. And for last, the Ored Leader skill that we already took on the Eomer, now the skill work with normal attack and not with all damage. On Thorin we got 2 change of King of Durin's Folk. The first one is that the skill now gives damage dealt stat for the unit, and the second is that skill scale with command. Overall is a useful skill but in a wrong commander. This commander is made for be a damage dealer, not a support. Then on Thranduil we get a double change on King of the Wooded Realm. We got the scaling on the basic trait of the skill for have more defense for the elves, and also defense of the elf plus 18 plus the scaling of focus while new defense. On the Treebeard they add just the scaling of Shepherd of the Tree, now scale with the command. On Ugluk we have 2 skills that we already discussed on Lurtz. We have Uruk-hai Elite and the White Hand that now scale with command. This command you can use as troop damage dealer because also you have Outlaw, another skill that synergize really good and now have skill with the command even if don't have the tag PBE. Then talk about Utak, we have again Uruk-hai Elite that scale with the command, we have again Warlord that scale with the command. On the Witch King we have 2 principal changes. The first one is on the Black Captain that now gives a damage stat of unit in 3 formation plus 5% instead of plus attack, but the real deal here is Lord of Minas Morgul that now scale with the command and can reach even minus 50 of attack and defense for the commander
commander hit by that. So it's a big nerf for the damage dealer of the enemy, and in combination with Sauron reduction is relevant. Then on Yusra we got 0 change, and for last on Zegrid we have 2 skill that receive a change, again is a scaling with the command. On Brigand we got scaling with the command, and also on Dunfiren Chieftain we got scaling with the command. The problem of Zegrid is again you have 2 skill for troop buff and 2 skill for damage dealing, you don't do very good nothing. So we cover all the skill change of the PvE. Overall I think we don't have a real change in terms of meta. I didn't see any relevant change in terms of mechanics of the skill, we don't have a real change of the skill, just an adjustment in terms of balancing for command scaling and stuff like that, just a little balancing, and in my opinion we didn't need that, but we need real change on the skill for make all the commander usable. The meta like this gonna be almost the same, but Sauron gonna bump down for make space for Gil-galad. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, just smash like on that and also subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Let me know in the comment what you think about the change on the skill. If you have any suggestion for me or for the devs, let me know. Like always, I wanna remember you, if you intend to spend on the game, I have an affiliated code with the game that allow you to buy gems from the official site of the game, and if you choose to use my link, the devs gonna recognize me a little commission of what you spend, and you're gonna support directly my channel. Again, thank you for following me and see you in the next. Woo!